Now in this video lecture we will go through second type of stereoisomerism, right, which is your optical isomerism, right. In this video lecture we will understand what is optical activity and optical isomerism. Before understanding optical isomerism, we should know what is optical activity, right. So optical activity, basically optical word we use when there is light, right. Optical means light, right. Now since we are dealing with isomerism here, and more specifically stereoisomerism, so just keep in mind that we are studying about organic compounds, right. So in optical activity we would be looking into how light, right, behaves when passed through certain organic compounds, right, and those organic compounds are isomers, right. Just understand this. Roughly I give you a rough idea of what we are going to study. That suppose we have two organic compounds, right. Those two organic compounds have atoms or groups that are arranged differently, right, in space, right. In previous video lecture we have understood that stereoisomers are those isomers that have atoms or groups arranged differently, right, or they have different orientations of atoms or groups in space. Now since we are dealing with optical isomerism, optical means something related to light. So when light is passed through these isomers, in one case light would be rotated towards left, if in other isomer the light would be rotated in right direction, right. So here this is how light behaves, right, when passed through certain compounds that exist as stereoisomers, right. So we'll just understand first what is optical activity, right. To understand optical activity, we'll just talk a little about light. We know that ordinary light, like sunlight, it consists of light. The light is vibrating in all possible directions, in all possible planes, right. Like if it's like this, in ordinary light we have vibrations in all possible directions, like this, right. This is your ordinary light, right, vibrating in all possible directions, vibrating in all planes or all directions, right? All planes or all directions. Now if I pass this light, right, if I pass ordinary light through a Nicol prism, right, then all vibrations would be cut off except one vibration, right. So light that would be coming out of the Nicol prism would be vibrating in one particular direction, or it would be vibrating in one plane, right. So if I take this light, right, suppose this is your Nicol prism, right. When this light is passed through Nicol prism, the light that will come out, right, would be vibrating in one particular direction only, like this, right. This light, right, which is vibrating or propagating in one particular plane, right, which is perpendicular to the direction of propagation of light, this light is known as plane polarized light. Plane polarized light. Now the meaning of plane polarized light is that light is forced to vibrate in one particular direction, right. Light is forced to vibrate in one direction, right? You can see this. This is vibrating in one particular direction now. Right now, since we are talking about isomerism, right? So now let's see it's the behavior of this light on certain compounds, certain organic compounds that show optical isomerism. Now, if this plane polarized light is passed through certain organic compounds, right? Those organic compounds will rotate the plane of this plane polarized light, right? This is known as optical activity, right? And the compounds, the organic compounds that show this behavior are optically active. That is, the compounds that can rotate this plane polarized light, they are optically active compounds. What it means is that if I pass this, suppose it's vibrating in this direction, right? And if I pass it through this tube, right, that contains an organic compound, right, then the light coming out, the light that will come out of this tube, right, that has organic compound, that has a solution of organic compound, would be little rotated, right? The organic compound, the solution of this compound will rotate the plane of this polarized light, right? It would be like this. This is how it was before. Now it would be rotated like this, in this direction. Instead of going this way, now after coming through the solution, it's going in this direction. That means it is rotated by an angle alpha, right? This phenomena is known as optical activity, right? And the compounds that show this phenomena are known as these compounds are optically active, right? So the property of this organic compound to rotate the plane of this polarized light, it has rotated the plane of polarized light through an angle alpha. So this property of organic compound is optical activity, and the compound is said to be optically active, right? So this is your optical activity, and this compound is optically active. So when we say a certain compound is optically active, that means it can rotate the plane of polarized light. Now there are two types of organic compounds. One type of compound are those that will rotate this plane of polarized light in the right direction, right? And there are other compounds that will rotate the plane of polarized light in the left direction. And there are certain compounds that will not rotate the plane of polarized light, right? So we'll go one by one, right? First is those compounds that will rotate the plane of polarized light towards right, right? So organic compounds three things. It will rotate the plane of polarized light towards right, or it will rotate it towards left, or it will not rotate the plane of polarized light, or will not rotate, right? So the compounds that will rotate the plane of polarized light towards right are dextrorotatory. Dextrorotatory, right? And it is designated by plus sign. And the compounds that rotate the plane of polarized light towards left are leviorotatory. Right, and is represented by minus sign. And the others that do not rotate the plane of polarized light, what kind of compounds these would be? It's a mixture of D and L form, right? It's a mixture of it has a D form also and L form also. So when D form will rotate it in right direction, then L form will rotate it in equal and opposite left direction, right? So the overall effect on the plane of polarized light is that it will not rotate, because one is rotating it in the right direction, the other is rotating it in left direction. So the net effect is that the light would not be rotated, right? So such compounds that consist of your D and L form are racemic mixtures. We'll just go through a racemic mixture in coming lectures, right? So these are racemic mixtures, right, that do not rotate the plane of polarized light. Now, what is the reason? What is the reason that that these organic compounds, right, are rotating the plane of polarized light, right? The reason is there must be something in the molecules of the solution which is contained in this tube, right? So that solution, the compound, organic compound that is in this solution is rotating the plane of polarized light. So it's been proved that organic compounds that have carbon atoms which are attached to four different groups. We know that carbon is tetravalent, so it can attach to four different atoms or groups, right? So carbon atom in this, or if this organic compound contain those carbon atoms which are attached to four different groups or atoms, right, then only it will rotate this plane of polarized light, right? So about this organic compound, we know that carbon is tetrahedral, it is sp3 hybridized, so it is connected to four different atoms or groups. So the carbon atom of this organic compound is connected to four different atoms, A, B, C, D, four different atoms or groups, right? And this carbon, such organic compounds, right, that are connected to four different atoms or groups, these are known as chiral molecule. This would be, we call it as chiral molecule, right? We'll understand what is chirality in a moment, right? And this carbon is your asymmetric carbon. Asymmetric carbon means it does not have any element of symmetry, right? We also call this carbon as stereogenic carbon. Stereogenic carbon, right? Or this is also known as chiral center, or we also call it as chiral center, right? So just understand one thing here, that the organic compound which is in this tube, right, that is rotating this plane of polarized light consists of, in this compound, the carbon atom is connected to four different atoms or groups, right? And this type of molecule is called as chiral molecule, right? And this carbon is your asymmetric carbon that does not have any elements of symmetry. So this is your dissymmetric molecule. It is chiral molecule or a dissymmetric molecule, right? And this carbon is known as stereogenic carbon or your chiral center, right? Now let's just quickly look into, and one more thing, when the light is passing through such a molecule, why is it rotating the plane of polarized light? Because this kind of carbon has different groups or atoms attached, right? So this kind of organic compound has different configurations in space. So when this light interacts with these different groups or atoms, it gets rotated through an angle, right? That is why the light is rotated when passed through a chiral molecule, right? Now we know what is a chiral molecule. Now let's look into more into it. Now let's come back to it when we were talking about that when plane polarized light is passed through the solution of an organic compound. Now we know it's a or chiral compound or a chiral molecule. The plane of polarized light is rotated through an angle, right? This angle is known as, we call this angle as your angle of rotation, right? This is your this angle through which this plane of polarized light, the plane of polarized light is rotated, is measured with the help of an instrument. We call that instrument as polarimeter, right? This angle of rotation, we also call it as alpha OBS, observed angle of rotation, denoted by this, which is observed in polarimeter. When we observe this angle in polarimeter, we call it as angle of rotation. So angle of rotation is measured using an instrument called as polarimeter, right? We'll measure it using an instrument called as polarimeter. Now let's look how polarimeter looks like, right? Polarimeter is where you have one light source, right? Here you have one light source, right? From here this light is coming, right, which is vibrating in all directions, right? And I said that you need to pass the light through Nicol prism, so the light that which is coming out of this Nicol prism is vibrating in one particular plane, right? So what you have is a Nicol prism after that, right? You have a Nicol prism. Then you have an arrangement where you can, it's a tube like kind of a thing, right? In this tube, what you put is the solution of an organic compound through which the plane polarized light will pass, right? Now in this arrangement we have another, at the other side we have another and polarizer, we have another prism, right? So we have it here another prism, we have two prisms, right? Then we have an eyepiece, here you have an eyepiece, right, through which an observer can see the angle of rotation, right? So this is a Nicol prism, this is a polarizer, because when light will pass through it, it will polarize the light, right? It will force the light to vibrate in one particular direction, right? And this will measure through using this, we will measure the angle of rotation, right? So this is a analyzer, right? And this is your eyepiece, right? And this is your light source, right? And in this you have organic compound, right? Now we know this organic compound is a chiral molecule, right? Let's connect it. Right? This is how it looks like. So this is the construction of polarimeter. This is a sample tube, right? The way you have organic compound, this is a sample tube, right? So the rotation of the plane of polarized light, right, by an optically active substance which is in this tube, right, is measured with the help of this polarimeter, right? And a schematic diagram, you can see this. It consists of a light source, a Nicol prism, a sample tube, a second prism, right, and an eyepiece. The first Nicol prism is our polarizer. I mentioned it. The other one is a analyzer. The analyzer can be rotated, right? This second Nicol prism can be rotated, right, along the principal axis, and is provided with a scale to measure the angle of rotation. One important thing, this analyzer has a scale, right? It has a scale to measure the angle of rotation, right? That angle we will call as observed angle later, right? So this is how it looks like, right? Now, in order to measure the angle of rotation, right, the polarizer and analyzer are first arranged in such a way that no light reaches the eye. Now, this, how we will proceed towards measuring the angle of rotation, this polarizer and this analyzer are first kept exactly parallel so that no light is observed to the person who is here, right? Now, what we will do is, we will pour the organic compound in this tube, right? And when the light is passed, when the light will pass through this polarizer, it will reflect all the vibrations, right, except one. So the light coming out of this polarizer would be vibrating in one particular direction. And when that light will pass through this sample tube, right, that has a solution of organic compound, which is a chiral molecule, right, the light which is coming out now would be rotated by an angle, right, like here. The sample will rotate the light through an angle, either to the right or to the left, right? So earlier, no light was, as I said in the beginning, that these two are arranged in such a way that no light is observed to an observer here, right? Now, when the light is coming out, the light which is coming, the plane polarized light to be correct, which is coming out of this sample tube, right? Now, since it is rotated by an angle, right? So a faint light would be observed to the observer here, right? That means earlier when there was no organic compound in this tube, the observer could not receive any light, right? So although the light source is here, but no light was seen by the observer here. Why? Because we have set up, or the setup of these two, analyzer and polarizer, is such that no light is passing through it and reaching the observer. But when you pour the organic compound, and when light is passing through this organic compound, a faint light was observed to the observer, right? Why? Because earlier light must be coming in such a direction that no light is observed. Now later, light, instead of coming in this direction, would have rotated in this direction. So a faint light is observed to the observer. So now what you will do is, since I said that this analyzer can be rotated, now you will rotate this analyzer such that again no light is reached to the observer who is here, right? Now that means when I rotate this analyzer through an angle, because it has a scale to measure the angle. So when I rotated it such that again now no light is reaching to this observer, that means that measurement, right, through which I have rotated this analyzer such that no light is now reaching to this observer. That means that is the angle of rotation of this plane polarized light, right, which is known as observed angle of rotation, denoted by alpha OBS, right, denoted by alpha OBS, observed angle of rotation of the plane polarized light by the substance, right, and is denoted by alpha TD. That angle is rotated, is alpha TD. T is temperature and D stands for D line of sodium. And light source is mostly sodium lamp, right, and this is given by alpha observed angle of rotation, which we have calculated by rotating this analyzer, divided by length, right, divided by length multiplied by concentration, right. So this is the formula to calculate it. Now, this formula shows that angle of rotation depends on the length of this tube, right, that contains the substance, and the concentration. By concentration we mean the number of molecules that are present in this sample substance, right. Now we will define one thing. First let me write it over here, that this angle of rotation depends on two things: length of the sample in the tube, second is the concentration. When we say concentration, the number of molecules, right. When we say concentration, the number of molecules. Now there is something known as specific rotation. Right. Now to calculate specific rotation of any substance, right, we will assume the standard conditions. Standard conditions would be that if we calculate it at standard conditions, or at specified conditions to be correct, not standard, at specified conditions, we call it as specific rotation, right, which is a specific rotation would be a constant for a given compound, right, and is a characteristic of the substance. So we will calculate specific rotation for any substance which is in this tube, right, by specifying certain things, which is the length, right, which is the length of the tube, right, and the concentration. Two things which are here, the length and the concentration, which you can see in the formula. So specific rotation is the number of observed degrees of rotation, right, caused by the substance which is in the tube when plane of polarized light is passed through 1 decimeter of its solution, right, having concentration of 1 gram per milliliter, right. So here 10 decimeter of solution, here I have specified it to be 10 decimeter, right, and concentration would be your 1 gram per milliliter. So we have specified the conditions, 1 gram per milliliter, right. So the angle observed at this under these specific conditions is your specific rotation, right. It would be your specific rotation, right, when the length of this solution would be 10 decimeter, which is around 10 centimeter, and the concentration would be your 1 gram per milliliter, right. I'm sorry, it's not 10 decimeter, it's 10 centimeter or 1 decimeter. Sorry, it's 1 decimeter or 10 centimeter. Both are same, right. So this is your angle of rotation, right. Now the direction of rotation of light we have discussed here. It would be either dextrorotatory, either it will rotate, the solution will rotate the plane of polarized light in the right direction, in the clockwise direction, or it will rotate in the anti-clockwise direction, right. So based on that you have dextrorotatory and levorotatory compounds. One which will not rotate is a racemic mixture, which consists of both these, right. And we studied about the setup of this polarimeter, which is used to calculate the angle of rotation caused by this organic compound, right, angle of rotation of plane polarized light by this organic compound, right. And the molecules that are present in this sample must be chiral molecules, because chiral molecules can only rotate the plane of polarized light, right, when the light interacts with these different groups that have different configurations in space, right. Now in the next video lecture we will just understand more about what is chirality, right, and more about these terms, right. Thanks.